What is up, everyone? Crunchy Frog here, and after a massive lull in news and really any kind of communication coming from the Call of Duty team, they have finally broke the silence to come out and let us know everything coming in Season 2. So as you know, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is not in the greatest place currently. However, this update seems to maybe turn some things around. It looks like a lot of stuff to cover here today, so as always, I will be going through their Season 2 blog post that they posted, and I will be posting a link to that in the description so you guys can read along at your own leisure and kind of look into things that I won't be covering in full detail here and everything like that. So we'll be covering all the major stuff coming here with Season 2 that will be dropping next week on January 28th. And yeah, once again, if you would like a full rundown, see all the pictures, read all the interesting little blurbs, stuff like that, make sure to click that link in the description and read it there. And as always, guys, if you like content like this, make sure to leave a like rating as it helps others find the channel. If you would like to be here and be present for all of the latest Call of Duty news and information and discussion here on the channel, make sure you're subscribed. And if you would like to support the channel monetarily, go ahead and click the join button to get access to exclusive perks like seeing every video up to a day early. Now, with that out of the way, we have a lot to cover, so let's hop right into what is covered in the blog post. Now, the first thing they talk about is obviously the new maps, of which there are going to be 5, which is a great offering of map content here for multiplayer. And they start out with the first map being Bounty, which will be available at launch. Now, it is a brand new map coming to the game. They call it medium-sized, and it's obviously made for 6v6, so core 6v6 multiplayer. And it is described as a penthouse at the top of a skyscraper. Again, in the blog post, they describe more about it. Looks like a pretty cool map, looks really modern and some interesting settings there, so we'll have to check that out when it arrives on launch. Next up, we have a map called Dealership, and again, this is another map coming directly at launch next week, and this is also a new map, medium-sized and made for 6v6, so not a strike map, and it takes place at a car dealership in the surrounding areas. Now, from what I can see in the pictures, which will be up on screen, this may be another one of those maps that they just carved out a piece of the upcoming Avalon Warzone map, and it kind of seems that way. It doesn't really seem fully suited to multiplayer, just a little piece kind of carved out of the map, and you all know my thoughts on that. Not super psyched about that, but we'll have to see how it plays. Sometimes I like those maps, sometimes they just play a little horribly and don't have great flow, but it also makes me a little nervous with how many unexploded cars there are on this map. I'm having slight flashbacks to the border crossing map back in Modern Warfare 2, but here's to hoping it does not reach those levels. Next up, we have Lifeline, which again is arriving on launch. Now, this is a strike map, so it's a brand new map, but it is a strike map. It's a tiny map, and it's set on a yacht. And if you watched the original trailer like I did and thought that Hijacked was coming back, not the case. This is actually the map that was shown, the yacht that was shown in the trailer and everything. And it might be a callback to Hijacked, but it is a different map. It is strike size, so it's small. It's not like the traditional Hijacked 6v6 map from Black Ops 2. So it might be a nod, a wink, wink, nudge, nudge kind of thing to the fan favorite map, but it is its own thing. And once again, it is mainly a 2v2 map, but also features in 6v6 playlists as well. Next up, we have Bullet, which will arrive mid-season. Now, this is, again, a new map, and again, strike size, so mainly made for 2v2, 3v3 type engagements. And it takes place on a bullet train, which to me sounds like a super interesting concept, but I do fear that maybe it'll be too narrow, since the play space will obviously be confined to the dimensions roughly of a train. But either way, it could be very interesting to play. And at first I was going to make a point here in my script to talk about how I'm kind of tired of so many strike maps, but I think at the end of the day, this is an overall good thing, especially since we're getting 2 medium-sized maps here, because this just gives more kind of content for the gunfight modes and their respective playlists. But I will say it is kind of crazy that, you know, all of the maps in this game seem to be small. They're really diving into the shipmentification of every map. You know, everything's just a crazy grind map anymore. But either way, those maps sound pretty cool. And speaking of grind, coming mid-season is the fan favorite map, Grind, from Black Ops 2. Now, obviously, this is a normal 6v6 map. That's kind of all they had back in Black Ops 2. And this was a DLC map. However, it was a fan favorite, and honestly, one of my favorites. I did actually buy this DLC back in the day, so I was able to play it. And I'm super excited to get back to this map. It was super revolutionary, really cool angles and geometry and everything like that. Super cool setting back in Black Ops 2. So I'm really excited to see how it plays with the new movement and everything like that. Running up the skate ramps and stuff like that should be really fun. So that about caps it for the maps. Once again, we get 5 right there over the course of the season. Some at launch, some mid-season, but pretty good offering, especially compared to years like Modern Warfare 2, where we only got 1 or 2 per season. So great offering by Treyarch here this season. Next up, they also go over some new modes that are coming to the game, first of which is Overdrive, which will be coming at launch. Now, this is a brand new mode, so I actually like when they add brand new modes and not just bring back modes that they took away from us after previous years. And basically, you have to collect stars by getting different kinds of kills, essentially. You know, the harder the kill, it seems, the more stars you get. And then, you know, whatever team gets the most stars wins. And the following criteria are given. You get 1 star for basic elims, you know, finishing off an enemy, etc. With body shots, you get 2 stars for stuff like headshots and melee attacks, and then you get 3 stars per kill if you get distinguished medal eliminations. It says reserved for only the most impressive takedowns, so I'm not really sure what that means. I assume, you know, really cool things, maybe like a quad feed or, you know, something like that. If you get a cool medal for it, it might be worth 3 stars, which effectively makes it worth 3 normal kills. So that looks like it would be pretty cool to see that point economy and how this game mode plays out. And kind of to add to that, as you rack up stars, kind of like a specialist bonus of sort starts to stack up. And these obviously go away when you die. And there's also a timer like the cranked game mode from back in the day, where if you don't get a kill for long enough, you start to lose these kind of abilities, these specialist perks that you get that are at the certain star threshold. So at 1 star, you get awakened senses. You can see enemies through walls and replenish your health after eliminating a target. If you rack up 3 stars without dying, you get physical enhancements, so your movement speed is increased, your reload speed is increased, stuff like that. And at 6 stars, you get augmented handling, which is improved hipfire accuracy and improved sprint to fire and ADS speed. So again, the more stars you have without dying, the more powerful your character gets overall. Now, in addition to that brand new game mode, they're also bringing back Gun Game, which is a fan favorite. It kind of blows my mind that it wasn't on launch or in Season 1. Every year, they seem to take forever to add this back in the game. We know it's coming. You might as well just give it us at launch. But regardless, that mode will be coming back. There's also a few Valentine's Day modes that will be coming, obviously, around the Valentine's Day holiday. And they just seem like Valentine-themed takes on the 2v2 and 3v3 modes. Nothing too crazy or special. Again, if you want full details, feel free to click the link to head on over and view the blog post for yourself. Next up, they are adding a few perks this season. They will be adding the Slipstream perk, which is an event reward mid-season. That goes into slot 3. It is a red perk for the Enforcer bonus and basically gives you faster sprint overall, but takes away your ability to attack sprint, which I definitely may run on any builds that have the red perk overall, because that really helps not having that attack sprint, not having to double click all the time, stuff like that, and just move faster in general. And then next up, another red perk here, this time in slot 2. Again, this is a mid-season type reward. It's called Hunter's Instinct. And basically, any elimination you get marks the nearest enemy to that person that you elimed. So it's kind of like a cool thing, kind of like in Warzone when you down somebody, their enemy pings. It kind of sounds something like that. And again, this is a slot 2 red perk. Next up, they have added a new wild card as well called Fly Swatter. This will be available in season and allows the player to swap their dedicated melee weapon that's on their class for a launcher instead. And this actually sounds really, really useful. I find myself needing a launcher to shoot down streaks far more often than I've ever used a melee weapon, especially since I am not going for the camos for the melee weapons. So if it weren't for the fact that I use Gunfighter on pretty much every single one of my classes, I would definitely add this to my class right away. Now, in addition to all that, they've also added a new score streak. Well, more so a returning score streak from previous games, and that is the War Machine. It'll be worth 1,300 points, and basically it's a burst fire grenade launcher this time around with a large magazine. So it's similar to previous games iterations, right? A big, drum fed. Grenade launcher, but this time it's burst fire and there's a new design, which I think is good. I think the last few times we've had the War Machine added to the game, it all kind of looks like the same one that we saw back in, I believe it was Black Ops 1 was the first game we had it. So they mix it up this time, put a little more effort into it. Overall, that will be a cool score streak to attain. Next up, they go over some quality of life stuff they had. Now, I covered some of this stuff in my latest one, some of my latest videos, but basically they are adding challenge tracking, so we can manually track up to 10 challenges per mode. And if you don't select 10, basically the game will show you, they'll fill that in, they'll fill in the gaps with the ones that you're closest to completing, which is pretty cool. So you can always kind of see what you're close to and try to achieve them. Now, this will appear in lobby and in game, so you can see it at all times, which is super awesome. I honestly, this should have been here at launch. They added this back last year with Modern Warfare 3, and it was such a major quality of life improvement, especially if you're still going for camo challenges. So super psyched to see this back, and overall a massive W from Treyarch here. I just wish we had it a couple months sooner, especially those of you that already have Dark Matter. I'm sure you feel this is too little too late. Either way, it'll be great to have in game. They've also changed it so that HUDs have presets per mode, so that you don't have to one size fit all type thing. You can mix it up per mode to see what's useful in each mode. There's less collision with teammates, which is awesome. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten stuck on a teammate or bounced off a teammate and altered my course, stuff like that. It just gets annoying. It's not a massive issue, but glad to see they're tuning that down. There will also be weapon balance and bullet penetration updates made to maybe change how often bullets penetrate, because some surfaces seem like you're shooting through paper, and it really sucks to get wall banged when the person sometimes doesn't even mean to shoot you. They just stray bullets happen to catch you. And next up, they do mention there will be a little less weapon motion when moving and jumping and stuff with certain perks equipped. They're also lowering the height of dog tags and kill confirmed, which I think is actually, it's like one of those things that annoys you, but you never think to vocalize that concern because it's not a huge deal. But I'm super glad that they are changing that, because sometimes it's hard to see players when you got this big fat, dog tag bobbing up and down on your screen. Now they're going to lower the height of that, so it's a little easier to acquire enemies. Next up, they are simplifying and expanding the conditions for certain calling cards, which makes them a little more easier, or a little more, I guess, sensible to earn. And they're also fixing some of the bugged ones as well, which I know has been a problem since launch on pretty much every Call of Duty. So glad to see them patching up some loose ends there. They're also adding, basically changing up the UI and everything so that more featured playlists can fit, so they don't have to keep getting rid of some of our fan favorites. They can leave it in and just overall have more featured playlists. They then go on to speak about ranked, which we're not going to cover here. As always on the channel, we don't really talk too much about ranked, but as always, check out the blog post. It'll give you all the information you need to know about all of the cool new rewards coming for the ranked season. And then they dive into my personal favorite, what I'm looking forward to most, and that is the new zombies offering. Now, obviously, there's a new map coming out called The Tomb. And we talked about this in my latest video, my last video. If you haven't watched it, go check it out. But they have unveiled that the new map is, once again, called The Tomb. It takes place at a dig site, and basically they go over all of the different locations that are at the map. I'll probably post some of those up on screen now. There looks like a lot of really cool, like, sub-locations within this map. Looks, just from what I've seen, obviously I haven't played it yet, but seems really, really cool and really great atmosphere and design principles overall. We'll have to see how it plays. There's also seemingly a lot of callbacks to Origins. They teased that in the little mini blog post last week, or a couple of days ago now, I guess. And also, some of the areas maybe even call back to the Chaos storyline as well. So it seems like they're tossing a little bit of everything into the bag here. Cannot wait to get out and play this map and see just how great it is. Once again, it's seemingly shaping up to be a spiritual successor to Origins, which is by far my favorite zombie map of all time. So super psyched to see all the little, nods and everything like that to Origins in this map. They're also introducing a new, to this game at least, enemy, and that is the Shock Mimic. Once again, this is returning from, I believe, Cold War, so it's not a brand new enemy. They're just bringing something back, but it will be new to this game. So if you've played against the Shock Mimic in previous zombie modes, it'll be pretty much the same here. There's also a new wonder weapon, and it's a little strange. There's only one new wonder weapon, and it is the Ice Staff. So they're doing kind of the Origin thing, right? This is a spiritual successor to Origins. A lot of the map themes are similar to Origins, but they're only bringing one staff, and it's the Ice Staff, which is one of the least favorite staff. It looks like it basically behaves exactly like the old Origins Ice Staff, but it can also revive players from a distance. And seemingly, now I don't know if they're hiding things, if it's going to be a surprise reveal, but none of the other staves are mentioned. So none of the other iconic, the Void Staff, the Fire Staff, all that stuff, it's not mentioned anywhere. So I'm really not sure. I'm not sure what's going to go on here. Also, I think I said Void. I meant to say Electric Staff. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just making stuff up as I go, I guess. But so it really weird to me, and also my friends kind of said the same thing, that none of the other staffs are in the game. But again, that could be a signal of something else coming up. Maybe in future maps the other staffs come back, or there's a way to unlock the other ones in this game, and they just don't want to give away too much stuff here in the blog post. Obviously, there is a new main Easter egg quest, and you can actually get a skin for the Ice Staff if you complete the quest. And obviously, of course, again, there is a new unique calling card if you complete it before the directed mode launches. And they also mentioned there's a new trap on the map called the Arrow Trap. There's a new perk that they're bringing back. It's not new to the series, but they are bringing back Death Perception, where you can see enemies through walls. And they said that there's more effects added in this game, in this iteration of the perk, but they don't really expand on that too much. So I'm not sure if they meant all the augments, or if there's actually more effects that they just haven't listed here. And it will be available on the old maps via the Wonder Fizz machine and stuff like that, so you can go back, play the other 3 maps that have launched so far, and buy Death Perception. Honestly, it's not that huge of a draw. I think it's kind of a bleh perk. Maybe some of the augments or the other effects or whatever will be cool. They do list and mention some of the augments here, but I'm not going to go through those to save you guys some time. But yeah, overall, not too pleased about that. It's just kind of meh. I'm probably never going to buy it if we're going to be honest here. They are also adding 3 new Gobblegums. They're adding Dead Drop, which is an epic Gobblegum. Drop rates of salvage and equipment are greatly increased. It lasts 5 minutes. This is something I've really been asking for. I actually wish there was a power-up that gives you just, like bonus scrap or double scrap or something for, the length of a power-up. But a Gobblegum is the next best thing, and it's awesome that it lasts 5 minutes. So it might be nice to pop that early on in the game, get a whole bunch of scrap, and upgrade your weapon super quickly and stuff like that. So definitely a cool one to add. They've also added Modified Chaos, which is a legendary Gobblegum, which greatly reduces all ammo mod cooldowns, last 2 minutes. So just your ammo mod will proc a lot more often. And then there's a whimsical one called Quacknarok. Zombies move around in rubber ducky inner tubes. So a Gobblegum that turns all the zombies into wearing inner tubes, and that's about it, and that lasts 3 minutes. They also say, obviously, just like with the hand cannon last season, the War Machine will arrive and be available on the map. So that's the new kill streak that we talked about a little bit ago. That will be available. And then obviously mid-season, they will be bringing the directed mode, which you can kind of go through at your own pace and basically finish the Easter egg with hints on screen and everything like that. They are also adding co-op pause, which is a massive quality of life improvement. The only stipulations being you have to be in the same party, so it can't be just, a public match. And the leader is the only one that can pause, seemingly, at least from from their wording. So the leader is able to pause so people, as it says, can go grab a drink. You can look up Easter egg steps, different things like that. This is a massive win. Thank you so much to the guys at Treyarch for bringing that to us with this update. And then the last quality of life thing here, the last thing mentioned with zombies is there's now the ability to get your gear back if you were AFK kicked mid-match. So if you get kicked mid-match and you have to come back, you don't lose all your stuff. You kind of pick right back up where you started. Now, they go on to talk about the Warzone content, which, as you know, we do not cover on this channel. Again, feel free to check out the blog post if you are interested in that kind of stuff. The one thing I will note is they kind of make a point of saying that there's not really a lot of Warzone content this season. They are more so focused on fixing stuff as opposed to adding stuff right now. Now, I know that Verdansk is rumored to be coming here shortly, whether it be next season or the season after, so they might be gearing up for that. But yeah, overall, it seems like it's mostly just updates and fine-tuning things and making it run a little more efficiently and stuff like that. So nothing too much here with Warzone, but again, I'm not going to cover everything that they're adding here on the channel. Make sure to check out the blog post. Now, next up, they talk about all the new weapons that are coming, of which I believe there are 4, unless I counted wrong here, 4 ballistic weapons at least, and the first of which is the PPSH. So if you've played any of the previous CODs, this will be a fan favorite for you for sure, dating the whole way back to the original Call of Duty games. And of course, this is a World War II submachine gun. You know the shtick. I'm not going to go over in detail with it, but it is coming at launch as a Battle Pass reward. Next up is the Cypher 091. Again, a launch weapon. This coming as a Battle Pass reward. And it's described as an assault rifle with a low rate of fire, but high mobility. And it's also like a bullpup, type weapon, stuff like that. So it might be very mobile, just doesn't fire very quickly. Next is the Fang 82, which again coming at launch in the Battle Pass, and this is an LMG with a quote very slow rate of fire, but it has the best accuracy and handling in the class as well, so kind of a trade-off there. And it looks like by default it just comes with a normal 30 round mag, not like a belt fed type thing like a normal LMG. So that could be very interesting to see how that adds into the meta. There's also the TR2, which is coming at launch as an event reward. So I'm guessing an event right off the rip next week. And that will be it's a marksman rifle and obviously a semi-auto one at that. So nothing too crazy there. Just seems like another marksman rifle is coming. And then they do mention that multiple melee weapons will be coming mid-season. So during this part of the video, I usually like to mention that if you are going for the mastery camo, keep in mind these 4 weapons that are added will contribute to that 33 total. So that might mean that you don't have to use certain weapon classes if you don't want to, because you can fulfill the 33 needed to begin to get like dark spine and dark matter and everything without the use of certain whole weapon classes now. Which, if you're like me, you like the normal bread and butter weapon classes like assault rifle, SMG, and LMG. That's great. We get 3 weapons there alone. So now maybe you don't have to use pistols, or now maybe you don't need to use shotguns and still be able to work your way to dark matter. So, and this will keep going through all the seasons. So every season will make it a little bit easier on you. You won't have to use those weapons that you really don't want to use, which is huge for me. So with that all out of the way, the next thing that they bring up, they are adding a few attachments. There's a crossbow attachment that will be here at launch for the SWAT and the AEK. That looks super fun and interesting. There's also a full auto attachment for the AEK that's an event reward that obviously takes away burst fire, turns into a fully automatic rifle. There's a binary trigger attachment, which is quoted as coming in the launch window as an event reward, and this is for the Tonto. And basically it makes it semi-auto, but it fires a bullet every time it's pressed and every time it's released. So it's almost like a double tap, almost like it's a 2 burst type weapon, but it does remove the barrel and under barrel attachment access in the menu when it's added. Finally, there's the belt fed attachment. This is for LMGs, and it sounds like it almost turns it into one of those like mountable machine guns where you get large amounts of rounds that can be fired all at once. seemingly with no reload, but the weapon just overheats instead of needing to reload. So that's pretty cool. Changes up how that works. And yeah, I really like when they add cool attachments like that. Changes up the meta, changes how different weapons can and will behave within the sandbox and everything like that. Finally, they just go over some of the events. We're not going to go into too much detail, but there's going to be a Terminator crossover event. Yay, another corporate crossover event. There will be a Shadow Hunt event, and then a St. Patrick's Day Clover Craze, which, as you know, they used to do Shamrock and Awe. That was really great. I don't know how this one will shape out. But all of them just seem to unlock attachments or maybe a weapon and stuff like that. So nothing too crazy, but we'll have to see as the season goes on what these events shape up to be. And then finally, they just go over everything included in the Battle Pass and Black Cell. I'm not going to cover that here today. Once again, if you would like to see all that in detail to maybe sway your opinion on if you're buying or not for the Black Cell and Battle Pass, go ahead and check out the blog post in the description. So that about wraps it up, guys. Overall, I think this is a pretty content-packed season. I don't know if it's going to revive the game or fix the kind of horrible state that Black Ops 6 is currently in, but overall, I think this is a net positive. It brings a lot of great stuff to the game, and I, for one, am super excited to hop in to the new Zombies map next week, hoping for a lot of Origins vibes coming there. So let me know in the comment section below what you guys are most excited to see with this season. Is there anything you're not looking forward to? Is there anything that you wish was coming that just wasn't there in these notes? And yeah, just let me know down below. And as always, guys, if you have enjoyed this video, if you made it this far, leave me a like rating, help others find the channel. And until next time, guys, you all have a good one.